Welcome to another episode of Tata Teleservices Do Big podcast. We have with us today Abhimanyu Khanna, who is Director and Lead Enterprise GTM Global Markets at Truecaller. He brings with him experience from previous roles at Truecaller, BlackBerry, Trend Micro, and HP. With a robust skill set that includes account management, business analysis, CRM, new business development, and much more, we know that our conversation with Abhimanyu will bring you valuable insights during our conversation today. Welcome, Abhimanyu, to the Tata Teleservices Do Big podcast. It's a pleasure having you here with us today.
Right. Thank you, Sheetal, for having me here. Glad to be part of this and kind of discuss on a very, very buzzing topic today.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. I think, Abhimanyu, with so many things changing so quickly, navigating SME communications is a challenge for a lot of our MSMEs. And one of the big questions for everyone is that as the landscape is changing and as digital technologies are changing, what do you think is happening in the space of business communications? Given that all of us are tackling new digital technologies on a daily basis now.
Right. So I think, when you kind of look at the way communication has changed, and especially, we had a break in our lives due to COVID. Digital transformation and technologies has taken over, the way the landscape of business communication today is. Today, everything is more, digital centric, as well as there are approaches that have been identified by businesses which are more and more personalized, right? And finally, the word omni-channel has kind of come across very, very strongly into the market, which includes use of various mediums, right? Whether it's email, social media, etc. Right. But however, if you look at, all these channels, voice as a form of communication is always, going to be an integral part of any of the digital channels, right? For a lot of instances, for example, many businesses today use a combination of various things, various forms of reaching out to their customers, right? But artificial intelligence kind of came in across, and that's made a lot of discussions around customer interactions, whether it's around support or whether it's just around predictive analytics. So that's where technology has kind of come in, and multiple ways and forms and channels are getting integrated today. And that's how things are kind of moving ahead, right? And when a lot of digital channels do come in, which offer various kind of services, features, etc., there is a need of scalability. There is a need of having or offering a very convenient channel of communication, and that's where voice kind of adds on to that part of it, right? And that personal touch that we talk about. So that's where I think a lot of things that we also do at Truecaller for Business, supports into identifying and kind of being the channel where end customers and end users today can identify kind of who's calling them, and as well as making sure the effectiveness of voice communication in the digital age it kind of remains in the right way. So that is where I think the landscape of communication has evolved over a period of time. But what we are seeing is that people are looking at more and more and effective ways of digital channels stitched in together. And that's how a lot of, whether it's SMEs, mid-market organizations are kind of going across and adopting these channels, but all in together and creating a very distinct customer experience out of it.
Abhimanyu, one of the big challenges that happen for MSMEs especially is they are doing the bits of business communication that they want to do. But there are pain points that businesses encounter when they're trying to connect with their customers in the digital age. And there are quite a few challenges, right? Because sometimes the audience that you're trying to connect with may not be on the platforms that you're kind of looking at, etc. What are these common pain points that businesses encounter when trying to connect with their customers in the digital age?
Okay, so as you said, right, and earlier at the start, we said that multiple channels of communication now are available, and that's where a lot of these customers are they're getting a communication overload, right, with multiple channels, and that's where a lot of these customers feel overwhelmed. with the volume of communication. So that's, I think, I would say communication overload is one of the pain points and challenges that a lot of end users face, and that's also something that businesses are taking a note of. But when you look at the various pain points that in the digital age, there's a lot going on about spam and fraudulent communication, right? Businesses struggle a lot of times with a lot of fraudulent calls, messages being sent, which in turn damages their reputation and trust with customers, right? And then some of the large examples of that would be, you would have heard a lot of scams around messages and or kind of claiming things around your PAN or your Aadhaar card verification, or whether it's the FedEx scam that is going on, which is regarding an undelivered package, which requires a lot of personal information. There are scams around electricity bills, so a lot of things going around. So I think one very, very strong point that prevails today is a lot of fraudulent communication, and how do you trust between a genuine communication from a brand or a business and a fraudulent one, right? And that's where a lot of these calls that businesses today make kind of go unnoticed, and it's not answered, because in the today's world of digital age, building trust has become a very, very important part, where customers kind of need to know whom are they interacting with, right? So that is where a lot of these challenges come into play, which is more around fraudulent conversations that they may kind of indulge into if the right brand is not kind of visible when that communication is happening, or the trust is not kind of identified. And that's where I think we guys as Truecaller for Business also play a very, very important part, where verifications of business calls identity kind of happens, which helps the end users and customers identify that, great, this is a call from a trusted source, the call is legitimate, right? And then at the same point of time, that becomes very, very vital for businesses as well as customers to rebuild the trust if it's been lost earlier, right? So again, while new channels, technologies make a lot of things efficient, a lot of things very, very fast, but a big challenge of fraudulent communication and spam is something that prevails into the market. And that's where identity, brand awareness, creating the right touch point between the business and the customer becomes very, very important.
Okay. Abhimanyu, you spoke about a very, very interesting thing, which is called trust, because a lot of us depend on, when we receive calls on our phones, etc., we're constantly looking for, is this a spam message or not a spam message? Or is this something that I should take or not take as a call? But often, when you think something is spam, but it's it's, for example, a Swiggy guy getting in touch with you, or it's somebody else trying to get in touch with you. It's very interesting that you talk about trust, but how does a business manage this part of it, right? Where it ensures that it is connecting with the customers for the reasons that they should be connecting with the customer and not getting tagged as spam.
As you kind of rightly said, right, with a lot of, I would say, a lot of noise into the everyone's world today due to the ways businesses are reaching out, is very, very important that building trust becomes, very, very important. And that's where, fraudulent calls or messages can severely damage a reputation, as well as, the trust building process between businesses and their customers, right? And then when customers today receive a communication that appears to be a bit of fraudulent, right? And that's where, that kind of leads to a lot of erosion of trust, and a lot leads to a lot of decrease in customer engagement, loyalty, harming the reputation, right? So that's where, a lot of these, in the digital age, a lot of personal interactions are getting replaced by virtual ones, right? And still building trust becomes very, very important. Customers need to feel confident that their interactions with businesses are secure and genuine, right? And as competition increases, trust becomes a key differentiator that can drive customer retention, as well as, make sure that they are repetitive buyers, etc. Right? So that's where I think we work very, very closely with a lot of, businesses today, where we help them deliver the right brand value, right brand representation, and also making sure that, things like contextualization of calls or making a very distinct calling experience is something that we work very, very closely with a lot of businesses. Right. So it is very, very important that you, in any discussion, in any communication, it is that you kind of display the right and correct brand value identity. When you talk to any of your end users, you do a lot of advocacy. Advocacy is a great word that we use in our daily lives at Truecaller today, where we work with a lot of businesses and we go back and say that how do you make sure that your customers, your end users are able to identify between a genuine business and a fraudulent one. So that's something that helps them to kind of create that brand recall, as well as try to tell them, hey guys, you are in safe hands. Right. So that's where a lot of effort goes on. But I think two nutshell points. One is making sure that the right brand identity is visible every time you speak to your customer. Second, a customer should know how to differentiate between a genuine and a fraudulent communication from the respective brand. And that's where the great word called advocacy comes in. So I think those are a few things that anyone could do to kind of, sit down and help them build that trust on their own brand. It is related to any form of communication that today a customer uses, where authentic connections is very, very essential, right? And that's where Truecaller for Business kind of comes into play, where authenticity, which kind of fosters trust, loyalty, long-term relationships, customers are more likely to engage with and support businesses, right? So that's where Truecaller for Business plays a very, very significant role in facilitating, these authentic connections by providing a platform where business can identify their identities. Now, this verification helps, customers distinguish between a genuine business call or from a fraudulent call, right? And that's where Truecaller services kind of ensure that businesses can reach out to their customers without the fear of being mistaken, whether it's spam, and thereby enhancing trust and efficiency, right? So that's where it's a lot related to kind of creating an image in front of a user, which is basically you're trying to kind of protect that user. And so we are now seen as an identity protection channel. We are seen as a platform which helps them build trust, and there are a lot of these, and it's not only relevant to call centers or calls. Today, people do check when they get SMSs. People also check a certain phone numbers that maybe some other channels would be using, right, to reaching out in terms of some IP-based messaging, etc. Right. So today we've become a kind of a platform or a channel where businesses use us to identify finally who is reaching out to them, right? And that's where it helps businesses to kind of deliver an image which is very user-centric and helps them kind of, show their focus towards customer protection by being transparent, right? And finally, with a clear and honest communication, which helps them to stand out from their competitors. As businesses in this crowded market, the platform has been kind of a differentiator to a lot of businesses in terms of, kind of delivering the right messaging. And in the meantime, also making sure that the right trust value, right brand value is kind of delivered, and making sure that it gives a very, very customer-friendly, customer-centric, security, privacy-driven, interaction points. So the platform today has evolved, and it kind of helps. I would say it helps all the businesses to deliver and prioritize authentic connections, with their own end users in the digital age, and that's where Truecaller for Business serves at that platform to help people identify the right brand values and identity while any form of communication. I think if you, when we kind of started off, working with a lot of businesses on this, the one of the very, very core fundamentals of doing what we do was to make it seamless, make it very, very fast, plug and play kind of service, right? And that's where we've seen the scale that we've achieved, in the last 3 years of our existence. So today it's very, very easy for any of our SME organizations to get verified on Truecaller. It's a very simple process. You can get this, this service through our trusted telephony partners like Tata, Tele, etc. It's a very simple sign-up process, which most of our partners have, which works around, providing necessary business information as to which is more around your KYC details. Then there's a verification process that we follow. And finally, post approval, etc., there is the assignment of the verified badge, plus the other features that are part of the whole communication suite that we offer. And as I said earlier, it's a plug and play solution. We try to most of our SME or business customers get activated within 24 hours of signing up for this service. And that's how we've kept it, because communication happens every minute, and if you make a service which is more around authenticity, identity, brand, etc., the respective business active immediately, because today we impact a user communication from this next minute once the service is activated. So it's good. It's a very, very fast process through our channel partners, and we are a very channel focused organization, and that's where we work very closely with organizations like Tata, Tele, which helps us to establish the customer relationship on the platform within 24 hours, right? So it's a seamless plug and play process, and max it takes about 24 hours to get activated.
Abhimanyu, we spoke about the landscape and we spoke about how business communications is evolving. Just wanted to get a sense of, when we talk about MSMEs and we talk about industries, which industries in specific do you think or believe would benefit the most when you look at solutions from business communications and digital technologies?
When you look at the overall communication landscape today, everyone is trying to reach out to their end users. They may be from varied sectors, but what we've seen over the period of time is that, yes, banking, financial services they do fall into the largest communicators to their end users. So that is always the largest pie. But we see a lot of emerging healthcare, fintech, edtech, educational institutes, colleges, universities who are now focusing on adding brand-based, identity-based communication, right? So I think everyone and anyone who makes a call or uses voice to reach out to their customers as a medium of or as a channel of communication is going to be focusing on using multiple digital technologies in the coming era, and that's where safety, identity, and trust comes in a very, very important part. And I just kind of say this to a lot of people, right? Anyone who makes a call to their end user today for any purpose, whether it's for sales, service, grievance redressal, satisfaction, feedback, etc., we kind of play a very, very important part in that. And that's where we are seeing, if you look at a pie of our customers who use our services today, we have a mix of everyone from the largest of the bank to a smallest, maybe a coaching institute running in some part of Delhi, right? So that's how the scale, and that's where the identity and safety and trust is coming on for your end user communication.
Abhimanyu, you spoke about the fact that, it's fairly easy for SMEs because it's a plug and play. It's easy for SMEs to get onto Truecaller. The fact that it takes only about 24 hours to set it up. Can you share some success stories or data that highlight the positive effects of a verified business call on customer engagement?
Yeah, so I think over the period of time, as I said, right, today we help about 3,000 plus active customers across banking, financial services, edtech, fintech, everyone who uses calling as a part of communication strategy, where we are covering use cases around, support, logistics, delivery, fraud management, right? And these are some of the large customers that we work very, very closely with, like HDFC Bank, Delivery, Swiggy, Zerodha, Uber, to name a few. What we've kind of, delivered as a value add is that due to the business verification services, the calling efficiency has gotten better. And when I say calling efficiency, it means things around, yes, call pickups getting enhanced, reduction in, users not marking your numbers as spam, call duration getting more streamlined, right? Because now people are very, very clear as to why you are calling them, due to our contextualization features also that we kind of given. So over a period of time, a lot of businesses that work with us have improved their call efficiency. It has also helped businesses to kind of develop a brand identity around their communication, their calling processes with confidence, context, and credibility, right? These are three strong pillars of this solution. with these green screens verification badges that you get on Truecaller, which is tamper proof, they can kind of make their calls more purposeful as well as democratic for a lot of these customers, right? And that's how I think the value of verification in fostering trust and enhancing communication efficiency. That's something that we kind of closely deliver. And finally, I think our the bedrock of the solution is around three, I would say three letters, which we call as SIT, which is around safety, identity, and trust, and finally making things more efficient. So these would be the four strong pillars that each and every business gets as a value add, and our 3,000 plus active recurring customers is kind of speak itself about what value the solution is providing them on a day-to-day basis.
Abhimanyu, you spoke about the fact that it improves the efficiency of calls. Now, what I'm trying to understand is, beyond that, are there other KPIs that one looks at when you think about, using your services? How do consumers or your customers measure efficiencies of working with Truecaller? And the second question for you is that, when a consumer receives a verified business call, how do they react to it?
Right. So I think, as I kind of clearly said, right, today green is the color that everyone associates with verified businesses calling them, which helps them building trust, identity around the communication. So today, if it's not green, it's not clean, right? That those are the kind of campaigns and words that we run around with when we kind of speak about those respective calling campaigns that everyone does, which is revolving around safety, identity, and trust. But at the same point of time, I think there's a lot that businesses do today with us to educate their customers about the importance of the trust and the measures and the identity around communication. And due to that, a lot of users have kind of come back and said that yes, this is something that we've been looking as a value add, where we can differentiate between a genuine call and a fraudulent call from a respective business. So I think there's been a great response. At Truecaller, whatever we make is we keep the user base in mind, and what is something that that they will get some benefit out of it, right? And that's where we focused a lot around adding capabilities on the Truecaller platform, which is around feedback mechanisms, which is around intent of answering the call or not answering the call, right? And giving that information back to the business, as well as giving kind of ammunition to end users, which are ideally today common users of the business, as well as Truecaller, to kind of give an intent back to businesses whether they want to be called again, or is there any feedback loop that we could add on, right? So over the period of time, I would say that businesses are getting values around brand identity, better communication efficiency. At the same point of time, users get a trustworthy source, which kind of helps them save time, save money, not put them in a situation where they can be financially defrauded, right? And finally, also kind of make sure that they're talking to the right business, which is relevant to their own requirement, right? So over the period of time, I think what we've seen is that there's a lot of education that has happened over the period of time from Truecaller as well as businesses in the importance of trust and how can communication be more safer, and that's where today users are getting that value, which in turn helps them being efficient while receiving calls, right? And that's a great value add that verified identity and Truecaller has been bringing into their life.
And before we wrap up today's session, Abhimanyu, any last thoughts that you want to share with our MSME audiences? Because you've spoken extensively about the importance of creating trust. You've spoken extensively about the fact that Truecaller helps, businesses ensure that transactions are authentic, they're secure, they're all of that. Any last thoughts that you want to leave behind with our MSME audiences?
Well, I think a few things that everyone needs to be very, very, I think, aware of today is, first, we cannot have a communication overload, which I think was one of the first things that I spoke about as there are multiple channels that are available, today customers often feel overwhelmed with the volume of communication that they kind of get in, right? So make your communication to your end users stand out, right? It has to be a distinct one. It has to be very, very crisp, right? But at the same point of time, make sure that you add the safety element, you add the identity and the trust building element around it. So I think that's where I think we play a very, very important part. And I would urge a lot of SMEs to talk to partners like Tata Tele, who kind of offer the Truecaller business solutions. So because what that kind of overall will help them was, one is, yes, it will make their call efficiency much, much better, make the communication overload lesser for customers, but at the same point of time also provide an additional layer of trust and security, and that helps them stand out as in front of their competitors. Also, it gives a very, very authentic feel to their end users, that this and finally, that what are we all working for and what are we all reaching out to our customers for, right? So that our engagement goes up, our revenues go up, our customer is happy, etc. And all this, combined with keeping in mind that we are building a safe and an efficient way of reaching out to our customers, helps them to kind of create I would say, a credible entity in the digital landscape. So that's where I think a lot of SMEs are moving into that direction. But I think 2-3 things. One is, just to kind of summarize, 3 things is what I would kind of, request all the SMEs to walk out of this session is: one, reduce the clutter of communication. It can't be an overload. That is one. Second, how do we use the right digital channel to make our communication efficient? And third, how do we add safety, identity, and trust in our daily dose of communication to our customers?
Abhimanyu, that was, really, really insightful. And I'm sure all of our MSMEs are going to be reaching out to both, because if they don't, I think, there is so much loss to business that can happen, and to business and brand, like you mentioned, that a lot of it is to do with your brand. It's to do with the authentication and the trust that you build with your customers. So thank you so much for being on this episode of the Do Big podcast. It was absolutely insightful. Thank you so much for your time once again.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Do Big podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to providing insights, strategies, and success stories of smart digital solutions for SMEs. We believe that behind every successful business, there's a strong foundation of reliable and secure technology, be it digital connectivity, cloud infra, cloud apps, collaboration tools, or cybersecurity solutions. In a rapidly evolving digital world where technology is key to progress, Tata Tele Business Services stands at the forefront of digital transformation of SMEs. Tata Tele Business Services, with their extensive experience and commitment to empowering businesses, understands the unique needs of SMEs. Whether it's scalable connectivity, robust communication tools, or tailored ICT solutions, Tata Tele Business Services is here to propel your business forward. Tata Tele Business Services is synonymous with innovation, reliability, and transformative solutions. So, if you're ready to take your organization to new heights of success, we encourage you to explore the transformative possibilities that Tata Tele Business Services has to offer. Our contact details are in the description below. Remember, we're available on major podcast platforms. So if you enjoyed today's conversation, subscribe to our podcast for future episodes, which we promise will be packed with equally valuable insights on questions entrepreneurs face as they digitize and scale businesses with the help of technology. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast, as well as share it with peers, colleagues, and other entrepreneurs like yourself who will benefit from listening to it. Thank you for listening to us, and until the next time, keep embracing technology and may your business thrive in the digital era.